Hey everybody, Jeff Marples, real estate broker here in San Francisco, Marin County, and select East Bay locations. Wanted to touch base with you real quick about the market. The market has changed very rapidly in the last couple of months, and today's going to be sort of our third quarter wrap up. But before we get there, please subscribe to my YouTube channels and click that like button so every time we come up with new content that you are very well informed. Now, what's happened in the real estate market? Oh my God, I've been doing this for 22 years, and I can tell you, there's a little bit of panic out there. I think it's across the board. Everybody sees it, and I think there are multiple things that are happening from a geopolitical world to inflation to interest rates, and how has that affected real estate in our local market? Well, realistically, there are certainly transactions that are still taking place, but I want you really to be educated in making really good decisions. So that's why I'm doing my video here. You can see in the last statistics, real estate, especially in the city, changes on a dime. I mean, it could change from a cold to a hot market within days, and I have seen the trend continually going down ever since Jay Powell made his pivot, right? I mean, everybody started talking about inflation at that point, and then interest rates have gone up higher and higher. Where they're going to go, I don't know. But I can tell you right now that the interest rates that I see right there in the market are really where they were when I got my mortgage in 2003, 2004. So, rates are coming back to where they were a long time ago. I think there's just so much shock in the system because reality is COVID had pushed those interest rates so amazingly low that they were just unsustainable. That was like a little bit of candy. If you got into the market at that point and you were planning on staying in those homes for the long term, hey, you're doing good, right? You've got a really low interest rate. But for others that are in the market or have been sort of on the sidelines, where are we right now in the marketplace? Well, I can guarantee you that prices have actually adjusted lower, right? I read an article just yesterday, 2 days ago. It's like two bulls. You got a seller and a buyer, and my negotiations lately have been going back and forth. Heck, my last transaction that I got in a contract just 2 weeks ago, 4 counteroffers, right? 4 different counteroffers. So you got to play hard. You got to negotiate well. You got to find your leverage to push those prices down. And for sellers, it is not last year's market by any stretch. So be realistic on your prices if you want to sell. Now, really what's happening is, you've got a tight inventory market. And I'll tell you the reason why, right? So, those people that had refinanced and were planning on relocating or moving, they're kind of stuck, right? Because if you have a 2.5-3% mortgage right now on your property and you were planning on relocating and moving up, well, you're going to be sticker shocked because the interest rates are twice as what they were, last year. So people that had refinanced last year, and once again, just to mention, there's no refinances happening right now. I mean, that has dropped off an absolute cliff, right? If you got in last year, then great, but don't refinance right now. I mean, unless you really have to. I mean, you're going to be sticker shocked. But those people that have those low interest rates, they're going to be shocked. They're not going to move up. They're going to be sitting tight for the long term. So realistically, it's still going to be very tight inventory. It's not like there's going to be a flood of inventory hitting the market. However, as companies start to lay off their employees, right? You see it with DocuSign. You see it with Facebook announcement just yesterday. There's going to be a lot of those people that are going to be motivated to do something. I don't know if it's going to be right away. Maybe it's just a matter of time before we realize that there needs to be some stability in the marketplace, right? I think overall, you're going to have a market where prices are going to continue to come down, right? Because regardless, they were in the stratosphere for so long, they are going to come down. I don't see any other way, right? And as interest rates keep on going up, those prices are going to adjust accordingly. And so just be patient. If you're out there looking, just be patient. Those people that have all cash or 50% down to where they're not just trying to get into the market, but they have capital to throw at this, they're going to be okay. okay, because you know what? They could sustain a higher interest rate because they're not inking by with just trying to get into the market with 20% down. A couple other things that I'm seeing. I've already done a seller finance transaction on their second mortgage. I'm also having conversations right now with regards to lease options, right? These are creative solutions that I employed back in the Great Recession, and they're already coming back in play. The biggest difference, in my opinion, thus far on my seller finance deal is I'm getting a lawyer to do the paperwork. Title companies aren't going to touch that anymore because of the liability. Right? So what I'm really seeing is certain micro markets like South Beach, for instance, there's going to be a lot of inventory. And since those companies are not bringing people back like we would hoped last year, that market's still going to be kind of hurting. I do think that the older neighborhoods in the city are still going to perform as long as people are realistic on their prices, right? Remember, once again, it's not last year's prices. And then when we go outside of the area, and we go up to Marin County, for instance, where we have higher price points, I do think that, those properties still are getting into contract, but days on market are going to be longer. We're negotiating a little bit harder on those transactions. Also, I find that there are people that, some of the sellers, I was talking to an agent yesterday, he didn't get, or the seller didn't get the multiple bid that they wanted. Their expectation was closer to $3 million. Lowball offer come in at 2.3, I think it was. So the reality and an expectation, they have to come into an alignment, because right now I still think some sellers are overvalued on their prices. And at the same time, I want you to just sort of remember that some of the strategies that I see some people are employing, we'll see if it's a good decision or not, is now that prices are coming down, and if people could afford the mortgage, the expectation is this interest rate hike is going to come back down. I was talking to our in-house lender today with Marker, and really we're talking about an 18-month time horizon when those rates are going to come down. So in this period of time, if you're savvy, some people are just going to be the sheep, and I get that. There's safety with that. But at the same time, if you're out there in the marketplace and you could push that price down to where it's really kind of absurd to a certain degree, and you can get it in a contract. Remember, buyers, don't be worried about that. Don't offend people. It doesn't matter. Let's see if you can get a deal. But the reality is, those deals are going to happen, and in a couple years, they're going to refinance. After all of this sort of transitionary period, they're going to refinance 2-3 years. They're not going to keep the interest rate they have today. They're probably going to hold off and refinance 2-3 years, but they're going to take advantage of the marketplace right now. So overall assessment, I'm still at it every single day. I know that there are price reductions going off. I know that there are some sellers that still have a high price, but when I'm talking to the agent, bring me an offer. They are motivated. They haven't gotten any offers. They want to review something. So from those buyers out there, don't be afraid. If you offend somebody, who cares? Write and make your deal as much as you can right now and protect yourself. You have the ability to do that. This is no longer a multiple bid scenario where you have to sign away all of your contingencies. Pack them up with your contract. Loan contingency, appraisal contingency. If you need an inspection contingency, absolutely get that if it hasn't been provided. So protect your backside and push those prices down, because sellers aren't going to have any option. Sellers, I absolutely encourage you to be realistic, right? You're not going to have that same multiple bid scenario unless your listing price is just ridiculously, stupidly low and your unit or your property is really, really good. So food for thought. If you have any comments, please write them in the link below. And once again, follow me on my socials, my LinkedIn, so you can learn a little bit more about me and what I do, my Instagram, all of that. I am deeply entrenched with my marketing. So I hope this has been helpful for you. Please reach out. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure that you click on that like and subscribe button. All right. Thank you.